There was an organization called Torswats. They had been swatting Tim Pool routinely. They had swatted many famous e-celebrities. I believe there was even a theory that they were involved in who swatted Nick Arcata a couple of times. But after a while, they started going big. They started swatting people like Marjorie Taylor Green, and they swatted tons of elected officials. I remember we went through the indictment, and it was fucking hilarious. They swatted a ton of federal law enforcement officials, higher ups in various federal organizations, which that's pretty base. But they swatted like fucking everybody. Well, anyway, the head of Torswats, well, I don't really know if he's the true head, but they found somebody to go after, and they went after the guy. The person they actually have right now is a California teenager, guy out of California. His name's Alan Fillion. He pled guilty to 4 counts of making interstate threats to injure the person of another. He faces a maximum penalty of 5 years in each count, and he'll be sentenced February 2025. Now, the DOJ put this release out, but it's important to know, what did he actually do? Well, here's the information, and information is not an indictment, and information is something it's a charging document in many situations you voluntarily agree to. It skips the steps. Now, there are other times where informations happen. In some states, it's normal. Depends where you are. Some states, the prosecutor could file an information of charges against you. I believe that's how Kyle Rittenhouse was charged initially, was by information, because the grand jury wouldn't indict. But in some states, informations are illegal unless you consent to them. So, for example, in Ohio, you can only be charged by the grand jury unless you waive that in writing, and then you can proceed by information. So anyways, he was charged under as many aliases like Nazgul Swattings, Torswats, the Third Reich of Kiwi Swats, the Table Swats, Angmar, and Torswats. So he got count 1 of his interstate threat to injure another. And basically from August 2022 till about early January 2024, he did more than 375 swattings, hoaxes, and other threat calls throughout the United States. That's a lot. That's really fucking busy. He's been a busy guy. They made fake telephone calls with authorities reporting false bomb threats or imminent mass shootings at schools or churches. It happened multiple times. He used multiple voice over internet protocol accounts using VPNs. He did all kinds of stuff to hide. He tried to hide multiple proxies, but it didn't work. And here's the thing, even though he's a juvenile, that doesn't stop you from getting prosecuted. It doesn't stop you from being prosecuted under federal law. So he did transmit interstate and foreign commerce communications meant to threaten or injure people. He had called emergency response numbers that said that he had AR-15s, pipe bombs, and automatic weapons, and he was going to shoot up churches in Sanford, Florida. So he had done this a lot. He threatened to attack a historically black college and university. Other things he went after here. He went after a high school in Washington, state of Washington. And he said, I'm going to commit a mass shooting of my AR-15 and Glock. I will kill as many kids as I can, then I will shoot myself. I have pipe bombs that I place in the bathrooms and trash cans that are set to detonate before class starts. I'm doing this because I'm sick and tired of all the fucking in my school. I want to kill all the fuckers because they're disgusting and degenerate. You sick, God-hating infidels are going to pay. May Allah praise my actions. He also claims he did it selecting members of the LGBT community, which then can make it a hate crime. And then he went after senior federal law enforcement officers using their address and told them he was armed with a rifle and that he would kill himself and he would kill any police if they responded. So those are the things he did. But here's the plea agreement, and it's pursuant to Federal Rules 11 of the criminal rules. So it's with the district attorney signing it and the defendant signing it, and the attorney for the defendant. They agree as follows. He's entering a plea guilty to counts 1 through 4. Counts 1 through 4 are interstate transmission of threats to injure. The maximum penalties for counts 1 through 4 are a sentence of 5 years imprisonment and a fine of $250,000. And as you can see, he signs each page. He initials it. He could be a supervised release of 3 years, and a special. And this is, oh no, they'll break his back with $100 per felony count. And here's how they do this for counts 1 through 4: that he knowingly sent a message to interstate or foreign commerce containing a true threat to injure the peoples of others, and the defendant sent the message with intent to communicate a threat of violence or recklessness as to whether it be viewed as a true threat of violence. The defendant's waiving the right to be charged by way of indictment before the grand jury. He's waiving venue challenges. So all legal challenges based upon venue pursuant to federal rules, the Sixth Amendment, or otherwise to this district. And we are in the Middle District of Florida in Orlando. But they point out that counts 2, 3, and 4 were committed in the District of California, the Central District of California, the Northern District of Florida, and the Western District of Washington, and the Western District of Texas. So he's waiving the right to be prosecuted for those counts, charged in 2, 3, and 4 in a different place where they were committed. They've worked it out that they'll try it all here. They're taking care of it here. That way, because he could say, no, I have to get tried in Florida, in Washington, Texas, and California. You have to do it. He could make them try that. He's arguing it's in his own best interest to do it after reasoned reflection and discussion. And they say if the court accepts this agreement, the U.S. Attorney's Office for Florida, for Washington, for Central California, and the Western District of Texas, and the District of Columbia, and the United States Department of Justice National Security Division, which is a separate entity within the DOJ that can file charges, and they can file charges all over the place. They're U.S. attorneys with basically jurisdiction to go wherever they want. They agree not to charge him with committing any other federal offenses known at the time of the execution of this agreement. So anything he did that they know of at the time, they're going to promise not to do. And part of that was he had to discuss everything he did, which means he talked, and he very likely gave names. He might have to make restitution. We'll see for counts 1 through 4. The defendant agrees to make restitution to the people who are harmed. We don't know what that is yet. And that the people who are harmed will be provided with notice of the hearings, and they can bring things up. They talk about the federal sentencing guidelines, and they recommend to the court the defendant shall be sentenced within the applicable guidelines determined by the court. The parties understand the recommendation is not binding on the court. The court they can do what they want. And they say if this deal is not accepted by this court, neither the United States or the defendant will be allowed to withdraw from the plea agreement. And the defendant will not be allowed to withdraw from the plea agreement. So basically the court says, I'm not accepting this, but we're moving the sentencing. He's agreeing he's stuck. The United States will recommend a 2-level downward adjustment for acceptance of responsibility. And he has done that. He's accepted responsibility. But this is the rest of the sentencing agreement here, chat. It just goes on and on and on. That he agrees to cooperate. He's forfeiting all kinds of things here. There's forfeitures of all of his computers, and you guys can see what kind of stuff he was running if you want to give him shit. But they took everything. They took all his stuff. So Torswats is going to get sentenced in February. We'll see what happens. Is he going to get jail time? Probably some. How many times did he swat Patrick S. Tomlinson? Oh, he probably did that too. Very likely. Although there's a lot of theories with that one that Patrick Tomlinson was in communication with people doing the swattings to give himself like more high profile. Like he orchestrated some false flag swattings on himself. Don't really know, but those are the rumors. No, child, it is you who's going to prison. Enjoy prison, stalker child. So we'll see what happens with Torswats. Self-swatting a thing? I mean, kind of. There's a lot of theories that Patrick Tomlinson swatted himself. We don't know. Didn't Torswats literally name out Patrick for that non-payment? I think so, but once again, it's kind of hard to tell if that's a gay up on its own too. I think it's a bit of a gay op here for both. I mean, it's hard to tell.